a little bit of informality at the outset, you would realize that the three guys in the elevated portion of Congress are from Mindanao. So wala na talaga kaming masabi. Senate President Aquilino Pimentel III, members of the Senate, Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, and the members of the House of Representatives, Vice President Maria Leonor Robredo, President Fidel V. Ramos, President Joseph Estrada, President Arroyo, Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Serrano, and the Justices of Justices of the Supreme Court, His Excellency Papa Nuncio, and members of the Diplomatic Corps. We cannot, well, of course, I have also to greet the Executive Secretary, Salvador Medjaldia, the members of the Cabinet, fellow workers in government, my countrymen. We cannot move forward if we allow the past to pull us back. Finger pointing is not the way. That is why I will not waste precious time dwelling on the sins of the past or blaming those who are perceived to be responsible for the mess that we are in and suffering from. Except maybe to extract a lesson or two from its errors, we will not tarry because it is the present that we are concerned with and the future that we should be prepared for. Lest I be misunderstood, let me say clearly that those who betrayed the people's trust shall not go unpunished, and they will have their day in court. And if the evidence warrants, they will have their day of reckoning too. When I decided to seek the presidency of this republic, I knew what the ills of our country were. I knew their causes, and I was briefed on those who caused the causes. I heard the people on the streets complain that justice had become illusory, that equity and fairness and speedy disposition of cases had deteriorated into hollow concepts fit only for muscular dissertations. It was and still is very sad indeed. As a former prosecutor, I know there are always ways of knowing how fast or how slow cases go. What I did was to look into the number of postponements and the time difference between each postponement and the next setting. It was simple as that. I will appreciate deeply if we all in government attend to this urgent need. I was determined then, as I am now determined and better positioned, to wage war against those who make a mockery of our laws, including those who make life for us all miserable. I wish to assure everyone, though, that vindictiveness is not in my system, just like you and I, all equal treatment and equal protection are what I ask for our people. But we must have the courage to fight for what what we believe in, undeterred by the fear of failing or losing. Indeed, courage knows no limits. Cowardice does. At this point, there are concerns few I wish to convey to all, to the end that as I perorate on facts, figures, plans, programs, and solutions, these concerns will not dissipate or get lost along our way. Thus, to our religious bishops, leaders, priests, pastors, preachers, imam, let me assure you that while I am a stickler for the principle of separation between church and state, I believe quite strongly that there should never be a separation between God and state. During my inauguration last 2016, I said that the fight against criminality and illegal drugs and corruption will be relentless and sustained. I reiterate that commitment today, and that is why I call on the Philippine National Police, the barangay chairman, the mayors and governors, are all those occupying seats of power and authority not to lower their guard. There will be no let up in this campaign. Double your efforts, triple them if need be. We will not stop until the last drug lord, the last financier, and the last pusher have surrendered or put behind bars. Or below the ground, if they so wish. To our police officers and other officials, do your job, and you will have the unwavering support of the Office of the President. I will be with you all the way. Abuse your authority, and there will be a hell to pay. For you will have become worse than criminality itself. I order the National Police Commission to hasten the conduct of investigation and adjudication of administrative cases against police officers involved in criminal activity and illegal activities, and prescribe policies on lifestyle checks for PNP members. In this quest, I will put at stake my honor, my life, and the presidency itself. The DLG is also directed to strictly monitor how LGUs perform their supervision functions over the police, and those found that performing will be sanctioned, including the loss of police deputation from the NAPOLCOM. Let me repeat my warning to all. I repeat to all. Do not do drugs. Because you will be the solution to the drug crisis that has engulfed malawak the nation. We will create an interagency committee on illegal drugs that will integrate efforts and strengthen the partnerships of all stakeholders. The reservists will be mobilized for information campaign against drug use and dissemination of information regarding drug rehabilitation program being offered by the government. Let us also strengthen our ROTC program to instill love of country and good citizenship. We will also prioritize the rehabilitation of drug users. We will increase the number of residential treatment and rehabilitation facilities in all regions of the country. The armed forces of the Philippines will facilitate the preparation for the use of military camps and facilities for drug rehabilitation. There can never be real, tangible, and felt development without making our people feel secure. And it is our duty to uplift the people's welfare. With this, my administration shall be sensitive to the state's obligation to promote and protect, fulfill the human rights of our citizens, especially the poor, the marginalized, and the vulnerable, and social justice will be pursued even as the rule of law shall at all times prevail. My administration shall implement a human approach to development and governance as we improve our people's welfare in the areas of health, education, adequate food and housing, environmental preservation, and respect for culture. Human rights must work to uplift human dignity. But human rights cannot be used as a shield or an excuse to destroy the country. Your country, I am my country. Meantime, since our country continues to be confronted with internal security threats aggravated by the existence and activities of the terrorist group Abu Sayyaf, the full force of the AFP will be applied to crush these criminals who operate under the guise of religious fervor. The AFP shall enhance its capability to search and engage these rogue and lawless elements. We have to strengthen our coordination with Indonesia and Malaysia to suppress the kidnapping in the waters of our neighboring countries. We will strengthen our counter-terrorism programs by amending various laws on human terrorism, terrorism financing, and cybercrime. This is our answer to the challenges of the global developments on the non-traditional threats, transnational crimes, and fanatical terrorism. Addressing global warming shall all be our top priority, but upon a fair and equitable equation. It must not stymie our industrialization. We also endeavor to develop and cooperate partnership with nations sharing common interests and concerns with the Philippines, maintain and sustain bilateral and multilateral consultations and dialogues. We will continue to expand operation human assistance, disaster response, maritime security, and counterterrorism. We shall deepen security dialogues with other nations to build greater understanding and cooperation. With regard to the West Philippine Sea, otherwise known as China Sea, we strongly affirm and respect the outcome of the case before the Permanent Court of Arbitration as an important contribution to the ongoing efforts to pursue a peaceful resolution and management of our disputes. On the aspect of our peace processes relating to our engagement with the international community, the Philippines shall remain committed to work under international and with industrial partners, achieving lasting peace and progress in the country. We will vigorously address the grievances that have been time and again expressed not only by the Bangsamoro indigenous peoples and other groups for security, development, fair access to decision-making, and acceptance of identities. Enduring peace can only be attained only if we meet these fundamental needs of every man, woman, and child. To our Muslim brothers, the Moro country, and the members of the CPP, NPA, NDF, let me say this. All of us want peace. Not the peace of the dead, but the peace of the living. We express our willingness and readiness to go to the negotiating table. And yet, we load our guns, fix our sights, pull the trigger. It is both ironic and tragic, and it is endless. While we extol the bravery and heroism of our soldiers, kayo, the rebels, do the same for your members and fighters. What I see instead are the widows and the orphans, and I feel their pain and grief, and no amount of cash assistance or the number of medals can compensate the loss of a human life. Sorrow cuts across every stratum of society. It cuts deeply, and the pain lasts forever. That is why I reach out to you, to all of you today, to our Muslim brothers. Let us end the centuries of mistrust and warfare. To the CPP, NPA, NDF, let us end these decades of ambuscades and skirmishes. We are going nowhere, and it is getting bloodier by the day. To immediately stop violence on the ground, restore peace in the communities, and provide enabling environment conducive to the resumption of the peace talks, I am now announcing a unilateral ceasefire with the CPP, NPA, NDF, effective immediately, and call on our Filipinos in the National Democratic Front and its forces to respond accordingly. Let me make this appeal to you. If we cannot as yet love one another, then in God's name, let us not hate each other too much. So it was said, I say the same to you today. We will strive to have a permanent and lasting peace before my term ends. That is my goal. That is my dream.